Happy New Year, and welcome back to the channel. The Doomsday Clock has begun, and so we have officially entered the doomin year. And it seems we finally have everything we need to break down all the 4 official teasers. Trailers Marvel had planned to release for Avengers Doomsday with Avatar Fire and Ash. Well, some official and some, you can guess how. So without further delay, let's get into it. The Russo brothers love this man, don't they? After years of rumors, leaks, and denials, Chris Evans finally made his comeback as Steve Rogers. In the teaser, we see Rogers not as a battle-weary soldier, but as a family man. He's riding a motorcycle through a quiet countryside, arriving at a farmhouse where he holds a baby in his arms, and we even see a wedding band on his finger. The trailer closes with the text, "Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday." Now, the last time when we saw Steve, he hung up his shield, passed the torch to Sam Wilson, and chose a life with Peggy Carter. For years, Chris Evans himself repeatedly said he was happily retired from the role. Yet here he is, back at the heart of the MCU. So what role will Steve play in this film? Well, the trailer gives hints, but no answers. Is he simply pulled back into battle by a fractured multiverse? Does his choice to stay in the past somehow create a timeline fracture that Dr. Doom wants to exploit? Could Doom's plans involve Steve Rogers directly? Maybe Doom sees something unique in Rogers, a moral compass, a multiverse linchpin, or even a key to decisive power over alternate realities. Whatever the reason, Steve Rogers' presence means this is more than just another superhero team-up. This is a story deeply tied to the legacy of the MCU itself, revisiting the very hero who defined it. This time, the spotlight is on the God of Thunder. But this isn't the goofy comedic Thor from Love and Thunder. This is much darker, almost like a farewell. We see Thor with short hair again, giving us those Ragnarok and Infinity War vibes, suggesting he's done with the rock star phase. He's back to business. The lighting here is cold, somber. This establishes his new status quo. He's not adventuring for fun anymore. He's a father. And that brings us to the narration, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Thor isn't speaking to the Avengers here. He's praying to Odin, "Father, all my life, I have answered the calls of honor, duty, and combat." Thor is acknowledging his entire MCU arc, from the arrogant prince to the depressed recluse. But then he says, "Destiny has offered me something I had never hoped for. A child, a life preserved from the storm." He calls his daughter Love, with whom we see him sitting with her in her room, a life preserved from the storm. He wants peace, he wants tranquility. But look at the next line. Defeat a new enemy and return to her. Not as a warrior, but as a protector. This is the crux of Doomsday. The new enemy is almost certainly Dr. Doom, and Thor knows he can't beat him as a warrior. He's asking Odin for strength, not to win a war, but just to survive long enough to protect his daughter. This sounds like a man who knows he might not make it back. The phrasing, "grant me the strength of the fathers of all things," is huge. This could be the MCU finally giving us the Rune King Thor, or Old King Thor power levels. He is tapping into the Odin Force, or Thor Force, because he knows Doom is a threat, unlike Thanos. Thanos wanted to wipe out half of life. Doom likely wants to rewrite existence itself. Thor has lost his mother, his brother, his father, and Jane. Love is the only thing he has left. This trailer sets up a terrifying possibility. Thor might have to sacrifice himself to ensure that tranquility for her. This teaser completely shifts the tone for Doomsday. The jokes are gone, the stakes are personal. What do you think? Is this Thor's final stand, or will he finally take his place as the All-Father? Boy, I should have watched this one in theater. Alright, let's break down what might be the most haunting Avengers trailer Marvel has ever made. I'm talking about the leaked 3rd trailer for Avengers Doomsday, the one that clearly puts the X-Men front and center. It opens in silence, not heroic silence, empty silence. We're inside the X-Mansion, but it doesn't feel alive. The halls are dark, no students, no voices, no movement. The camera drifts slowly, almost like it's afraid to disturb something sacred. And then we see it, the metal plaque. Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. A name that once represented hope now feels like a memorial. As the camera continues through the mansion, the atmosphere gets heavier. This isn't a school anymore. It's a tomb, and that's when the voice comes in. Magneto. Calm, tired, almost resigned. Death comes for us all. That's all I know for sure. The way it's delivered doesn't sound like a threat. It sounds like acceptance. The camera finally settles on Charles Xavier, seated in his iconic chair, alone in the distance. No students gathered around him, no X-Men by his side. Just Charles, waiting. Then something incredible happens. A king chess piece begins to float into the air, and behind it, slightly out of focus, we see Magneto, Eric Lenscher. The symbolism is impossible to miss. Chess, destiny, sacrifice. This has always been their game. Charles and Eric reach out and hold hands. This moment is quiet, emotional, intimate. Charles is wearing a blue jacket with a black and red X symbol, different from anything we've seen before. He smiles at Eric. Eric smiles back. No anger, no rivalry, just understanding. Whatever is coming, they've already accepted it. This single moment raises a terrifying question. Are we watching the end of the X-Men? Then the trailer cuts hard. Cyclops steps into frame and removes his visor. His face is smeared in black, mud, ash, maybe blood. His expression isn't rage, it's resolve. When the energy blasts from his eyes, it's violent, uncontrolled, desperate. And behind him, towering into frame, are massive metal legs. A sentinel. That's when the implication hits. Mutant extinction isn't a future threat. It's happening now. Cyclops' suit resembles the X-Men '97 design, but modernized. No trunks, more grounded, more war-ready. This isn't a team in their prime. This is a team fighting for survival. And here's where the theories explode. First, what timeline are we even in? This does not feel like the original Fox X-Men timeline. It doesn't fully feel like the Days of Future Past ending either, the hopeful version where mutants and humans finally coexist. And it also doesn't cleanly align with the universe Monica Rambeau ends up in at the end of the Marvels, where we see a seemingly intact X-Men world. This trailer feels like something else entirely. A doomed timeline. One possibility is that this isn't a sacrificial universe, a reality already collapsing under the weight of incursions, sentinels, or Doom's manipulation. A universe where mutants never truly won. A universe that exists only to show us what's about to be lost. Which leads to the most terrifying theory. The X-Men might die in the first 10 minutes of Avengers Doomsday. The trailer is soaked in finality. Empty halls, no students, Charles and Eric saying goodbye, Magneto talking about death, not war. If Marvel wanted to emotionally devastate the audience right out of the gate, this is how you do it. But there's another possibility. What if this isn't their end, but their origin? What if the X-Men are being wiped out because they matter? Because Dr. Doom sees them as the one variable he cannot control? Doom may not even appear in this trailer physically, but his presence is everywhere. Sentinels don't rise on their own. Genocide doesn't organize itself. Doom could be orchestrating a multiversal reset, eliminating mutants across realities because they disrupt his vision of order. And what if Charles knows this? That chess piece, that hand-holding, that calm, it feels like a decision has already been made. Maybe the X-Men aren't fighting to survive. Maybe they're fighting to buy time, to send someone, something into another universe. A warning, a seed. Cyclops firing that blast might not be an attack. It might be a last stand. And if that's true, then the X-Men's role in Avengers Doomsday isn't small. It's foundational. They might not be the heroes who win the war. They might be the heroes whose sacrifice starts it. Because Doomsday doesn't feel like a movie about saving the world. It feels like a movie about watching it end and deciding what comes next. And if this trailer is telling us anything, it's this. The Avengers aren't assembling to stop Doomsday. They're assembling because it already happened. So here's the thing. The fourth trailer of Avengers Doomsday is out, and while all the other three trailers were a surprise on their own, this one may have featured one of the most odd interactions one can imagine in the MCU. M'Baku meeting Ben freaking Grimm. Anyway, the trailer starts with Shuri's backshot. In a desert setting, possibly Wakanda. We see Shuri walking from behind in her Black Panther suit, looking out at the horizon. A voiceover plays where she says, "I've lost everyone that matters to me." She continues, "A king's duty to prepare his people for the afterlife. I have mine." We see shots of Namora and Namor. We see M'Baku walking along with Shuri and meeting the Thing. M'Baku introduces himself as King M'Baku of Wakanda. Ben introduces himself simply as Ben Yancey Street between Broome and Grand. Yeah, looks like we're back to classic Marvel humor, everyone. The trailer ends with a shot of M'Baku entering a ship with Shuri, potentially joining him. Text appears on screen in French. Wakandans and the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday. And that's the trailer, guys. Probably not as much of a banger as previous ones, but interesting enough to keep the hype train going. So what do you think the fifth trailer will be? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel for more updates.